it's Faye, and welcome back for another video. For today's video, we're going to be doing a book haul. So yesterday was my birthday, and because of that, I got quite a few books. So I figured I would go over some of them with you. We can do some tapping and scratching and stuff. So I hope you'll enjoy. Let's get right into it. The first book we'll start with is For the Wolf. This was recommended to me actually when I was still reading A Court of Thorns and Roses. I went to Barnes & Noble, and when I was cashing out, one of the cashiers, who also really liked fantasy and romance and stuff like that, had recommended For the Wolf and For the Throne. So we picked this up, and I'm really excited. It has like the texture of the cover is almost like watercolor paper, so it's like kind of ripply. Which is really fun. It also fits well considering that it looks painted in watercolor. So and another cool thing about it is that it has the rough pages. So instead of being all uniform and cut like books usually have them, they're all rigid and uneven, which is so cool. And it looks so good, especially with the texture of the cover. So, super excited. I will read you really quick the like summary of the stories. As the only second daughter born in centuries, Red has one purpose: to be sacrificed to the wolf in the wilder wood, in the hope that he'll return the world's captured god. Red is almost relieved to go. Plagued by a dangerous power she can't control, she knows at least in the wilder wood she can't hurt those she loves again. But the legends lie. The wolf is a man, not a monster. Her magic is a calling, not a curse. And if she doesn't learn how to use it, the monsters the gods have become will swallow the wilder wood and her world whole. So it sounds really good, and I'm super excited for it. It has a second book also called For the Throne that I will pick up once I finish this one. But that is our first book that we got. The next one is The Cruel Prince. This one my fiance got for me. And after I finished A Court of Thorns and Roses, we were looking into some other stories that a lot of people had recommended for afterwards. This was one of them. And so I'd been really, really wanting to try it. And he surprised me with it for my birthday. So it was super exciting. This one is also part of a series. This is the first book in it. So we're going to get into this shortly. And then I'll have another series to get collecting. So I'm super excited about that too. There is a difference in textures on the cover of this book as well. It's not super dramatic, but the darker things like the title and then the branch and crown are like a smooth, kind of glossy, and then the white background is matted, so it has a different texture, which is kind of fun too. I really like it when covers are like that. So and I will read to you the little summary for this one as well. Jude was 7 when her parents were murdered, and she and her 2 sisters were stolen away to live in the treacherous high court of the fairy. 10 years later, Jude wants nothing more than to belong there, but many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Caradan, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. To win a place in the court, Jude must defy him and face the consequences. And there we are. Makes me very excited, especially because of some of the similarities between the description of this and Court of Thorns and Roses. Though it still definitely sounds very different at the same time. I like that it's going into the Fae again, and fairies, so that's super exciting. So I'm excited to jump into another story with similar beings, other than obviously A Court of Thorns and Roses in Crescent City, but to experience them from a different author and a different story. So I'm super excited. This is the second book that I got. Alright. And the third book is The Assassin's Blade for Throne of Glass, another Sarah J. Maas series. So I looked into it, and it looks like Assassin's Blade is like a kind of a prologue to Throne of Glass. So picked this one up next. so I can start collecting this series as I'm going through other books in between and as I start this one. So I really love Sarah J. Maas, and I'm super excited to read another one of her series. I've kind of known from the get-go, once I started Court of Thorns and Roses and I really liked it, that I wanted to go through and read her other two series as well. And I couldn't decide. I had a really hard time deciding if I was going to read Throne of Glass first or Crescent City. In the end, it ended up just being it ended up coming down to is that Crescent City is smaller, so I figured I would read that one next, and then I would dabble a little bit in a couple other smaller series or standalones before I jumped into the Throne of Glass, considering that there's like 7 books. I figured it would be good to take a little break between, not read all of her series back to back. That way I could just savor them a little longer. So I've got the next Sarah J. Maas series for me to read. This one also has a kind of textured cover. It's again another matte one, but it's different in the way it's matte compared to the Cruel Prince. It's more of it's almost softer and smoother. It kind of feels like almost velvety, kind of. Just cool. And then the letters are glossy and they stick out a little bit. So I will read you the back again for this book. It says, Selena Sardathian is her kingdom's most feared assassin, though she works for the powerful Assassin's Guild and its scheming master, Arobin Hamel. She yields to no one and trusts only her fellow killer for hire, Sam. But when Arobin dispatches her on missions that take her from remote islands to hostile deserts, Selena finds herself acting independently of his wishes and questioning her own allegiance. If she hopes to escape Arobin's clutches, Selena will have to put her faith in her wits and her blade, knowing that if she fails, she'll lose not just a chance at freedom, but her life. A prequel to New York Times bestselling Throne of Glass, this collection of 5 novellas explores the history of its cunning assassin and her enthralling and deadly world. It also says in this volume it includes The Assassin and the Pirate Lord, The Assassin and the Healer, The Assassin in the Desert, the assassin in the underworld, and the assassin in the empire. So, there is the description for this book. I'm so excited. I really, really love Sarah J. Maas. And I really, really, really can't wait to jump into A Throne of Glass. Even though I know that once I finish the series, there'll be no more until she releases her next book. It makes me so sad. So I'm trying to hang on and kind of draw it out as long as I can now that I'm almost done with Crescent City and only have one series left. So, but here is Assassin's Blade. And for our next book, I got A House of Flame and Shadow, the most recent Crescent City book to come out. It came out at the end of January this year, and I have been I was pushing off getting it, waiting to see if the paperback would come out yet, so that it would match my other two, but I wanted it so bad, so my fiance picked it up for me. That way I could jump right into this next. I took a little break from Crescent City after I finished the second book, and right now I'm currently reading Killing Floor, the first book in the Jack Reacher series, and then once I finish that, I will be finishing off Crescent City with this book, so I'm super excited. The last Crescent City book had a crazy ending, and I'm glad I'm taking some time to kind of digest it, try something new, let it settle, and then diving back in for this book. It actually worked out very nicely because I talked about in the last video, I usually stick to what I know I like when it comes to books. So fantasy romance is usually pretty much it for me. And so I'm kind of glad, and I think it's very refreshing that I ended up taking the break between the second Crescent City book and then this one, the third, because it lets it settle in. Quite a bit happened. It also gives me a little bit of a break because I've been reading Sarah J. Maas back to back, so I have just a second to digest it. I'm not rushing right through, but also because I've actually really, really enjoyed the Reacher series so far. I'm really loving the first book of it, so it gives me a nice little change of pace to explore some other things that I didn't know that I would enjoy so much. But I am very excited to jump back into Crescent City once I'm finished, especially now that I have this book in my hands. I'm so excited, and it is definitely the next thing I'm reading. I can handle holding off for one more book. I don't think I can handle waiting for the second book before getting into this. I'm super, super, super excited. And then again, for this one, it has a textured cover, more of a matte, and it has a couple small, metallic places that are smooth, the letters are glossy and raised, a lot like Assassin's Blade. Though with this paper cover on the outside, because it's a hardcover book, the mat isn't quite as like smooth and velvety, but it is still pretty smooth, and it has a velvety quality, just not quite as intense. But it's so big and it's so beautiful, and I'm so excited. It has this little fabric piece back here is gold, and I think that's so cool. It looks so cute, especially against how gold the cover is. I will read you the description of this one now. Oh, first though, take a look at this. The art on the inside cover is beautiful. It's so beautiful. And the cover itself, without the little paper cover over top, it looks so good. I love it. But before I go on forever, I'll read the description of this one for you. Bryce Quinlan never expected to leave Midgard, but now she has. All she wants is to get back. Everything she loves is in Midgard. Her family, her friends, her mate. Stranded in a strange new world, she's going to need to keep all her wits about her if she wants to find her way home again. And it's no easy feat when she has no idea who to trust. Hunt Athalar has found himself in some deep holes in his life, but this one might be the deepest of all. After a few brief months of having everything he ever wanted, he's imprisoned again, stripped of his freedom and without a clue as to Bryce's fate. He's desperate to help her, but until he can escape the Astari's leash, his hands are quite literally tied. I'm so excited. The ending to the last book in the series, spoilers, ended up with Bryce in Perithian with Farah and Rysand and the entire crew for A Court of Thorns and Roses. Only being able, they speak different languages too, so they're only able to communicate with the ancient Faye language. And Hunt and Rune ended up taken in by the Astari, and Hunt was again bound with the tattoo across his forehead of the like thorn crown, or like the thorn halo. So it was very intense. It made me very sad, but it was so crazy, and I'm really excited to get into this to figure out what happens, how they're going to end up back together and solve everything that's happened. But I'm so excited, and it's so beautiful. But let's get into the next book. Let me slide these over really quick. Alright, our next one is Bride. Very excited for Bride. It is a standalone, and I actually I was looking around at books one day while we were shopping, and I found this one, and something about the cover just kind of intrigued me. I was a big fan of Twilight when I was younger. I mean, I still am to an extent now, but it's left a love for werewolves and vampires. even though I think Twilight could have been better. It was lacking in several aspects, but I love it anyway. And so just having this kind of, I guess having a little bit of an interest in it, seeing the wolf and the vampire on the front kind of piqued my interest. So I started looking into it a little bit, and right up my alley. It's definitely something I would enjoy from the summary. So I'm super excited. I've been really wanting this one. It was most of the books that I picked out with. So I got about half of these from my fiance, and I picked out most of them with him, with the exception of A Cursed Prince and Bride. He picked up and surprised me with these two. And, oh my gosh, I was so excited. I really can't wait to get into this. I think once I finish Crescent City, this will probably be the next one that I read. Super excited. It sounds so good. And I'm kind of excited to explore more fantastical creatures, because so far it's been mostly Faye, Fairy. Crescent City changed it up a little bit, having shifters and such in there. We saw a little bit of vampires, a little bit of other creatures and mythical beings, but I'm excited to get into something a little different, a little more, I guess, kind of classic, like your werewolves and your vampires. But I'm super excited. It sounds so good. It just kind of, I don't know what about it, kind of just drug me right in. It was like, it really caught my eye, and then kind of took it and ran with it. So I'm super excited. And being a standalone kind of makes me excited. I've been reading a lot of series lately, and even with Killing Floor, even though I am only reading the first one right now, and then slowly will read the others as little like spacer books between series and stuff. It's kind of, I'm excited to have like purely a standalone one that doesn't have a series going along with it. That way I can just, sometimes it's nice to wrap it all up in one go. Even though, like with Reacher, it'll wrap up that story, but I honestly, I'm curious to know what goes on with him more. So, even reading it singularly and then going on later on, it doesn't quite feel like a standalone. So I'm excited to have a standalone to get into, and then just get into the vampire and werewolf and a little bit of change to my usual fantasy romance. A little bit of change in pace in the fantasy. So that's pretty exciting. The cover of this one is actually all one texture. It's matted. It has a couple of like details that are like metallic, but they don't really stand out too much, and texture feels pretty much the same as the rest of the cover. It's again kind of a matte finish, not really the like velvety smooth of Assassin's Blade, more of just like a standard matte cover. But super cute. I love the red and white and black. Really dark and very vampire-esque. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. And I'll read the back for you. Alright. Misery Lark, daughter of a powerful vampire councilman, is an outcast. Her days of living anonymously among the humans are over. She has been called upon to uphold an alliance between the vampires and their mortal enemies, the Wares. Wares are ruthless and unpredictable, and their alpha, Lo Morland, is no exception. He rules his pack with absolute authority, but not without justice or feeling. It's clear from the way he tracks Misery's every movement that he doesn't trust her. If only he knew how right he was. Misery has her own reasons for agreeing to this marriage of convenience, reasons that have nothing to do with politics or alliances, and everything to do with the only thing she's ever cared about, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to get back to what's hers. I'm super excited. It sounds so good. And also, on the back, one of the little blurbs for it says, Allie Hazelwood finally given us a paranormal with her trademark humor, twisty plot, and spice that doesn't quite buckle up. Or her spice that doesn't quite buckle up, excuse me. But something cool about that little blurb is that it is by Hannah Whitman, the author to For the Wolf. So that's really interesting, really exciting. I thought that was just a cool little thing on here. But Bride, super excited for. Definitely the next story I get into after I finish up the Crescent City series. So yay, I'm so excited. But here she is, this beauty. And then our next book I'll get into is Reacher. It's Bad Luck and Trouble. Now, this is not the next one in the series for me. It is a couple books ahead of where my fiance is right now. But when we'd gone out, I'd gotten some books from my fiance that we'd already picked out together, that he picked out beforehand. But my almost mother-in-law has she had gotten us a Barnes and Noble gift card, so we went back book shopping, and even though I'm not there yet, we needed to have this one. We needed it because, well, first, it just looks really cool, and it's the next one in line that we don't have, and even though I'm not there yet, I'm also really enjoying the Reacher series, and I am slowly reading through the series, so I really wanted to pick it up. Really bad. So even though this one is quite a bit into the future for me, honestly, I'm so excited to have it. I honestly, if I could, I wish I would want to pick up the entire series right now, but there's 30 books, so, and our Barnes & Nobles only carries pretty much one copy of each, with the exception of Bad Luck and Trouble. They actually had 3 different versions of this cover. So it's usually they have one version each, and especially like this smaller style. Some of the earlier books they have in the like a wider and thinner like bride style layout, but most of them are just like this, and they don't usually have all of them. We kind of slowly, and by slowly I mean like once a week, once every 2 weeks, pick up a new one, and then they'll slowly restock more in as we take them out. But we don't have all of them right now. So as much as I'd love to buy them all and then have the entire series, I really liked the red version cover, because they had one that was more the like newer prime type cover, and then because I believe this is the second season is based off of this book, but they had that cover, then they had the red version right here, and then they had one that was yellow instead of red, but the red just popped so nice and it looked so good. So there's this one. This cover it's very glossy. It's a very glossy cover, and then it does have the letters do kind of like elevate. They're elevated and they stick out. Which is really cool. I like that a lot about the older covers. I kind of prefer the like older original covers, just because they feel older, and I just really like the look of them. So Bad Luck and Trouble. Super excited. I will read you the little back summary for this one as well. From a helicopter high above the California desert, a man is sent free-falling into the night, and Jack Reacher is plunged into the heart of a conspiracy that is killing old friends. Reacher has no phone, no address, no ties, but a woman from his former military unit has found him using a signal only 8 members of their elite team would know. Then she tells him about the brutal death of one of their own. Soon they learn of the sudden disappearance of 2 other Conrads, but Reacher won't give up, because in a world of bad luck and trouble, when someone targets Jack Reacher and his team, they better get ready for what comes right back at them. So, Bad Luck and Trouble. I'm super excited, even though it's gonna be so long until I get to this book, but I'm just so excited. They're so good. And I'm just, something about, even though I'm not there, something about just having them, it just feels so nice. It makes me feel so good and warm. But especially seeing our shelf of the Reacher book fill up more and more, just feels so satisfying. So, Bad Luck and Trouble. next one is, well, I guess technically in order, it would be Castle in the Sky. So we already have the first book, the Houseman Castle, and then that is one of the upcoming like break books that I read probably right after Bride. But my fiance read it and really liked it, and we are also collecting some weird. We love Houseman Castle. We really like Ghibli, and we saw the movie, then we read the book, and then we decided that we wanted to get the rest of the trilogy, kind of trilogy, but also it is a little something. When our daughter gets older, she'll have some good bigger books to read other than crime and my little mature stories that will be much too mature for her at this point, or at that point. So we got Castle in the Air, which is a right here it's a companion book to Houseman Castle, so it doesn't follow Howl and Sophie and the original group that we would know from Houseman Castle, but they are a part of it, and this one takes place before the sequel book for Houseman Castle. So it's technically the next one, but I don't believe you really have to read it to understand what's going on in Houseman Castle and then the following book, but it just wouldn't be complete if we didn't have this one also. So we picked up actually both. So the next book I'll show you after this is the next story in line. Alright, I will read you the little back summary for this one. It says, young merchant Abdullah leads a humble life, or he did, until a stranger sold him a threadbare and disagreeable magic carpet. Now Abdullah is caught in the middle of his grand daydreams. Walking one night in a luxurious garden, he meets and falls instantly in love with the beautiful and clever flower in the night. But a wicked djinn sweeps the princess away right before Abdullah's eyes, leaving the young man with no choice but to follow. This is no ordinary quest, however. The flower in the night isn't all the djinn has stolen. Abdullah will have the so-called help of the Canticarius carpet, a cranky genie in a bottle, a dishonest soldier, and a very opinionated black cat. With this motley crew, will this motley crew be able to find the djinn's mysterious dwelling and rescue a castle full of princesses? So this book is not, it doesn't really have too much Hal and Sophie in it, but it feels right. You have to read it between. So we picked this one up. This is our next book of this little birthday haul. The cover of this one is the same. It's also just flat, like Bride was. There's no raised lettering or anything, or different textures. It's all flat, glossy texture. The same glossiness that Bad Luck and Trouble had. So there we are. Castle in the Sky. And then, like I said, our next book, the sequel for Howl's Moving Castle, House of Many Ways. This one is the sequel, so it will have more Howl and Sophie in it, but I thought it was kind of cool that I don't have Howl's Moving Castle in here with me right now, but the coloring of this one and Howl's Moving Castle is the same. So like the sky is the same color as compared to Castle in the Air, which has a darker one. I thought it was kind of cool. It showed like the difference, even though they all kind of go together in like trilogy style almost. That this one's still separate. It encompasses like the world and some of the characters from Howl's Moving Castle, but it's not a sequel. It's its own little story that just has them in it as well. So I thought it was kind of cool that they had the coloring of the sky also kind of correlate with that. So this one, cover-wise, it's the same as Castle in the Air. Flat cover, no raised lettering or anything. And it has that glossy texture. But I'll read you the description on this book really quick. It reads, when Chairman Baker agreed to look after her great-uncle's house, she thought she was getting a blissful, parent-free time to read. She didn't realize that the house bent space and time, and she did not expect to become responsible for an extremely magical stray dog, a muddled young apprentice wizard. Now, somehow, she's been targeted by a terrifying creature called a labuk. Too, that became central to the king's urgent search for the fabled elf gift. That will save the country. The king is so desperate to find the elf gift that he's called in the intimidating sorceress named Sophie for help. Where Sophie is, the great wizard Howl and the fire demon Calcifer won't be far behind. How did the respectable chairman end up in such a mess, and how will she get herself out of it? So there we are. Howl and Sophie and Calcifer and Michael all back again. This book. I'm really excited. I haven't yet read Howl's Moving Castle. I watched the Ghibli movie and I'm completely in love with it. It is one of my favorite Ghibli movies. And I believe it was actually the second one I ever watched after Ponyo. But I love it dearly and it holds a special place in my heart. So I'm super excited that I now have the full kind of trilogy, or the full set of books with an attachment to Howl and Sophie. I'm really, really excited to read these. So even though they are intended for a younger audience, they warm my heart. They're so cute. So I'm so excited to get to read these. And those are the last two books from this little haul. The next, there's two left. These are both manga. And so when we went out book shopping, we decided to both pick out a manga series that we would read only in like physical copies instead of reading online. And I picked Like a Butterfly, it was one on my list, and I think the art looks so beautiful. So I'm really excited. Here's a little peek at the inside panels. But it's just so cute, and I thought when we were going through and looking, I was trying to decide between Like a Butterfly and Skip and Loafer, because they were both on my list, and I wanted to collect something that I haven't read yet, because I didn't want to reread through, and it felt like I was just collecting them just to have them, which I eventually do plan to collect the series that I've already read, so I just have them. But I wanted something that was like a fresh, brand new read at the same time. So I picked Like a Butterfly. I'm super excited. It looks so cute. It's been on my list for a while now. So we have this lovely first volume that we got. So this will also probably after this video I will start this, and it will join our long big list of anime shows, books, manga that we are currently reading and watching. So this is super exciting. We decided that as we stop in to pick up our next books for like our series, like while I was reading Crescent City, and he's reading the Reacher series, that we will also pick up a new volume every time of the manga that we both picked, so that we can slowly collect these as we read them. So it was really exciting. I thought it was a fun alternative compared to just buying them all in kind of more bulk, like we are with we're finishing off collecting Naruto and Demon Slayer and such, so we thought it would be kind of fun to collect one this way as well. That way we're buying like box sets for the others and slowly going through, or picking up copies as we go. It's just kind of nice to have one set distinctly, like, okay, reading this right now, so I have to pick up this volume if I want to keep going. So it was kind of nice. I'm really excited for it. But here is Like a Butterfly. And then the last one that we got is My Dress Up Darling. I've watched the anime, and I've also read the manga. I'm currently all caught up with it. And I've been really, really wanting to collect the physical copies as well. And so I've read the manga, but I watched the anime with my fiance. So when we were going through, he decided to pick this to read, also to see some of the things he missed. And so we were able to collect these as well, which is kind of really fun. So as we're picking up Like a Butterfly, we'll be picking up Dress Up Darling too. So it's super, super exciting. I'm really excited. I love My Dress Up Darling so much. It was my first manga ever, the first one I ever read, and I'm completely obsessed with it. I'm completely obsessed with Merit, and I'm so excited to have these and to get started collecting, because I've been debating when to pick this up. If I should order them all at once, if I should slowly pick them up as we go to the bookstore. But when we were going through, and he said, well, maybe I'll read Dress Up Darling, and then we can collect the copies that way. It made me so excited. So this was Dress Up Darling, the perfect excuse to start buying it. So, here it is. I absolutely love it. I'm so excited. I've been waiting so long. Oh my gosh, I can't even explain how much I love my Dress Up Darling, how much I love Marin. She's, oh my gosh. But I'll show you. Let me pick a safe page. I'll show you. So cute. But I would definitely recommend if you are looking for some cute little romance kind of. It's not quite there, but rooting for it. But it's super cute. It's about cosplay. She's adorable. The story's adorable. And it's just so fun to follow along. So definitely recommend it. If you are buying the physical copies, they are wrapped. There are some they're not really like mature, but they're a little bit. They have some as like cosplaying, there are some like scenes in a little bit of little clothing, but it's so cute. It's so good. I recommend. Very much I recommend. But Dress Up Darling. It's so cute. I'll actually read you the back of this one. Traumatized by a childhood incident with a friend who took exception to his love for traditional dolls, doll artisan, hopeful Wakan Gojo passes his days as a loner, finding solace in a home ec room in his high school. To Wakana, people like beautiful Marin Kitagawa, a trendy girl who's always surrounded by a throng of friends, is practically an alien from another world. But when cheerful Marin, never one to be shy, spots Wakana sewing away one day after school, she barges in and ultimately ropes her quiet classmate into her hobby, cosplay. I don't suppose you'd make my cosplay. Will Wakana's wounded heart be able to handle the invasion from this sexy alien? But there we are, and here's the little back cover with Wakana Gojo and a Hina doll. So cute. They are so cute. I love them so much. He is the sweetest. He's adorable. And she is so cute and so energetic. But I love it so much. That is it for the book haul, actually. We ended up with, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 altogether. So, I would say I made out very well with books and manga for my birthday this year. Quite the little haul. I hope you enjoyed sitting with me while I kind of talk about them and tap and scratch a little bit at them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you are into some of the stories that I'm into, a couple possible recommendations. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you were able to relax with me for a little bit, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye!